I went to go to the bathroom, and after I had looked down and I saw blood, and that's not something you want to see ever, being pregnant.
Morgan and Luke Peterson had been thrilled to learn they were 4 weeks pregnant in October 2021. Now, a week later, they feared for their baby's life.
When Morgan first started bleeding, my initial thought was that we were losing the baby actively, which threw me into a tailspin. I was so distraught.
Morgan and Luke prayed and also called several friends and family to pray for them.
I immediately put my hands on her belly and started praying, and I just started thanking the Lord for healing and for making sure that this little one that was in there was okay.
Luke drove Morgan to the hospital emergency room, but had to stay in his car due to COVID regulations. Alone in the waiting room, Morgan started reading Psalm 91, a prayer asking God to deliver one from all troubles.
And the verses were so uplifting, like, I'm going to protect you, I am with you. And I knew that same verse applied to my baby. There was a peace in the sense that I knew whatever was going on in that moment was going to be okay.
An ultrasound test revealed Morgan had a blood clot in her uterus and a cyst on her left ovary. At only 5 weeks old, the baby's heart was too faint to register.
And I remember seeing a little small, circle, and I had no idea what it was. And the doctor was like, hey, this is your baby. But I didn't see any movement, I didn't see anything. So immediately there was that terrifying feeling seeping in.
Doctors told them they couldn't tell if the baby was alive and sent Morgan home on bed rest to wait. It would get worse. By the end of 2 weeks, the amniotic sac was completely surrounded by blood, and doctors had found a mass near the uterus.
So in the doctor's mind at that point, it wasn't an if, it was a when. The baby wasn't going to make it, because there's just not a lot of comebacks in that kind of situation.
Now, people from their church and friends were agreeing with the couple and their family in prayer.
My prayers were constant throughout all of this bad news that we kept receiving, and I just kept thanking God for healing no matter what I heard, because I truly believed that it was in His hands.
Morgan admits it wasn't always easy.
And having to fully trust and place my faith in the Lord to handle all of that, it's hard. I was completely powerless.
Then, at Morgan's next ultrasound a week later, there was no sign of a mass or blood around the amniotic sac.
Luke is like, I knew he would do it. I knew he would do it. And then that's when I remember feeling the excitement bubble, like, we're in the clearing. Like, we've made it through this.
Then there were actually doctors asking the question, saying, is this the same person? Is this the same uterus? And it was just miraculous.
Their need for prayer and a miracle, however, wasn't over. At 33 weeks, Morgan went into early labor and was admitted to the hospital. After several hours, her blood pressure and heart rate dropped dramatically, as did the baby's. Morgan became unresponsive. Doctors said if she didn't improve soon, they'd need to do an emergency cesarean section to save her and her baby's life. Luke, who was by her bedside, prayed, texting and calling everyone he knew to pray again.
The thought of losing not only her, but losing this person that we made together was heartbreaking, and there was nothing that I could do in that moment, just sit alongside her and pray.
After several hours and much prayer, Morgan and the baby stabilized. 3 days later, on May 18, 2022, Morgan went into labor again. This time, she gave birth to a healthy boy they had named Simon, weighing 4 pounds and 11 ounces.
I just remember seeing him and I was like, I've known you, it seems like forever. And it was like he knew me. And it was just so, so, so precious. And it was every answer, to prayer that I could have ever wished for.
To see Morgan take him in her arms was something special. She was so beautiful in that moment. And I remember standing and looking at him as I held him and just saying, thank you, Lord, over and over again.
Although born premature, Simon had no complications and was home within a week. Today, he's a normal, healthy toddler. The Petersons know the blessing of their healthy child was all because of prayer and trusting in God's healing power.
And I know today, having such a beautiful family, my wife and my son, it all comes from being able to trust God. He really is the good father who takes care of his children.
This experience is to spread hope and faith in the sense that God cares so much about your baby. You know, you can go through the difficulties, you can have a hard time, but the Lord will deliver you and then some beyond your wildest dreams.